I'm back. Right, so that'll save me a bugload of editing stuff later on. So upload the file and then upload the next one. Now we don't seem to remember dropping any frames during that whole last stream, so obviously we're doing quite well in terms of stream capacity on this computer. I've actually been quite impressed. I had quite a lot of bad things about Vodafone broadband just after I switched over. But you know, right now I've actually had more reliable service from Vodafone broadband over the last week than I have from Sky over the entire time that I've been on it. And it's actually slightly faster and half the price. So you don't have the phone contract, so you don't have to pay line rental. Whereas with Sky, you have to pay your line rental no matter whether you have a phone installed on the line or not. Which is a bit of a con, I think. There you go. Okay, sign in with your EA account. Wow, actually got that right first time. Nice one. Now I'm going to expect that this is going to be a fucking huge download. If that's the case, then we may have to rethink what we're going to do. So let's just save that. That's okay. My game library, Apex Legends, download. Do I have an option for English UK? No, because you American people don't do it. 13 gig? That might actually be doable. Let's give it a go. This is not 40 odd gig or something like that. So we'll see. I watched quite a good video today about how Apex Legends works in the form of a console, about the tweaked textures, LODs, drawing distances and resolution dynamically, in an effort to maintain a consistent 60 FPS. Interesting. It's always good how they can actually customise those things, and it shows you how real game devs actually do this kind of stuff, rather than the ones who play it, and then say they can't do anything. So yeah. Well, this looks like it's going to be an hour and a half, so it may not be a particularly great idea to try and do this tonight, but let's see if it comes down any. If it doesn't, then we could be scuppered. Now it's in 1 hour 42. So the good thing about the other machine being, well, doing what it's doing, is that it is sharing. Now if I turn that off, then potentially we might get a little faster. Alternatively, this one might just take over, which is what it seems to be doing at the moment. So it's now jumped up to 3.5 megasecond, leaving 1 megasecond for the Elite computer. You don't have to get the whole lot until it's playable as well, so this might actually be quite good. Let's give it some time. While we're doing that, does anybody want to watch any 3D modelling stuff, or have another game on, or something we can just piss about with for half an hour while we're doing this? We'll have a bit of a kind of random stream going with some different crap on. Anybody in chat, shout up if you're interested in doing anything a little bit different. And we can do some drawing, do some 3D modelling, do some website stuff, do a game of D&D, I don't know, whatever. I must admit, it's all Sean's fault anyway for mentioning this to me, because I'm actually quite intrigued. And one of the things I do actually want to try and play one day is Titanfall, because I do have Titanfall 2. Show you some 3D modelling, eh? Or a 3D modelling head on you, have you? Okay. Let's see then, what can we pop on? Let's see what we've got. Now, what I am doing at the minute is I have been doing a show cam rather than blank pic. You want to see the cam? Where's DaveCam 1? DaveCam 1. There's DaveCam 1. A view that everybody will recognise if you've had a look at anything I'm doing on YouTube at the moment. So yes, it is. It is indeed. Blop, 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 blop. That'll do. Bop, bop. So then, if we're going to be doing some 3D modelling stuff, what shall we do in the region of 3D modelling? How about prepping stuff? So prepping stuff for use in yeah, I'm having a big clear out. I mean, anyone who's watched the stream and had DaveCam on all the time will remember there used to be a big pile of crap behind me all the time. That's all gone now. So there you go. There used to be a whole big pile of crap all across here, and it's all gone. I've got rid of it all because that's what I've done. Just let you see what's happening on the Elite installation. Yeah, it's all gone, and I've cleared space for printers. That's my printers, my scanner, my printer, and my scanner, and the new 3D printer. The old 3D printer's in my son's room at the moment. So I mean, all that stuff at some point is going to go as well. I'm going to carve out some of that. I'm just going to skip a lot of it. All the stuff that's up in that corner there needs to be unboxed and put away. And there's me. Hello. So yeah. You don't see this view of the office very much. That's my head. Sorry about that. There's the microphone. I keep headbutting. Some bog roll because I keep going blow my nose because I've got a cold all the time at the minute. Some deodorant because I smell like a bitch. Some modelling stuff again. And a pile of crap that needs to sort through because that was all just dumped there while I was sorting stuff out. Yeah. So there you go. That's the office as it currently stands. So that's all to get cleared out still. Quite a lot of stuff to go in the bin from that lot. Bogload of Lego over there as well. So pretty much every box over there's got Lego in it. My Star Trek magazine collection. That's from the Star Trek Starships collections. The McLaren thing there is the McLaren F1 car that Lewis Hamilton won his first championship in. So there you go. That was a quick whistle top tour of the office. Tour of the office in its new form. Right, so 3D modelling. What we could look at is how to grab a 3D model and turn it into something you can print on a printer with little or no effort. So what I've been doing is actually creating a model of a gun. I don't want to do that on stream at the moment. I'm going to have to change my stream title in a minute because we are taking our time here. I don't think we're going to get Apex Legends on tonight. It's going rather slowly. Intermission. Let's say makers and crafting. That'll do. Okay, so that is still down. I'm going to move that to the bottom of the screen. I'm then going to go into here. Oh, let's see what I've got. 3D models, my models. What would be nice to get a rundown on? The gun model. I can set like the prep. Oh, the prep. Right, got you. Okay. So we'll have a bit of a 3D modelling / 3D printing tutorial then. So let's open up a copy of Wings, which is my 3D modelling application of choice. I shall make it the same size as my other window. I'm also working on a bigger project in 3D at the minute that I want to try and render in full. But I'm going to do that as like a full end-to-end video. But at the minute, I've not really got that going. So let me just go into studio mode here and game capture full screen. Apex Legends seems to want to take up the entire window for some reason. Why won't it let me do that? Problem with Wings 3D is it's very panicky about its screen, which is a bit odd. So let me just... Oh, you would be doing that crap, wouldn't you? Close that. Okay, that should work. Yep. Another window at the top. In a minute. There we go. Right, okay, so transition. There we go. Right. So this is Wings 3D. This is my 3D application of choice. So what I'll do is I'll import something. So I'll import an STL file. This is the model I'm working on. So what I'm going to do is I have a model here that I was going to start working on another day, but I need to extract it first. Is it pistol? Alright, so let's have a look at the combined model. Hopefully it'll be combined in one actual logical part. Yes, it is. It is Wings 3D, my favouriteest. Right. So basically, what you have here is you have a 3D model. So say that someone has just drawn that. This is the full model rendered. Now, as a printing thing, that won't print off particularly well because you have lots and lots of overhang. It's big, probably bigger than your print plate. So if I go into here and then I do an approximate size of my print plate, that's my print plate. As you can see, that's not the right size. So that's not going to fit in there at all. So what you have to do is cut this down into basically different shapes that will print on there. Now for most printers, it is a good idea to try and print as much as you can kind of flat. So you have a minimal need for supports. Because those all have to be cut off. They all join to the model in some way, and it can be quite difficult actually getting the model off the base. Or off the supports, or off the raft, or off the base itself even sometimes. So what you have to do is try and cut it down to a reasonable size. Now I have a feeling that this is actually already cut into bits. So let's ungroup it. Yeah, as I thought. No, it's actually just one model. So what you have to do is find a place where you can actually split that model. Now, as you can see, there's a number of different ways we could do this. One of the options you have is to cut it in half along the centre line, so along that backline. This is not a very good model to show you because it's not particularly well designed in terms of lines and splines and tessellating. So right, so what you have, a number of different components that all fit together. So this first time I've actually looked at this model, so I'm trying to see where I can logically split it. Right, so there's a section there. So that there is a section. That there is a section. That is a section. Now in theory we could split that across there. We keep going across that line. Then we can print that as one piece flat. We then have a flat bottom for that. So potentially we could do it that way. We can split that, and we don't even need to split that because we can print that with the top. So both those have a flat top, although it might not look like it there. Those could be separate components. That's your flat surface there, and you have a flat surface there that you can potentially use and cut that up. Or I can pick a different model. Now there is a model, quite a lot of models actually, that are pre-split. Now this one, as I say, this one was already pre-split in a way. If I have a look at this one though, front flight, I'm going to get rid of that just now. Ooh, what they are. This is the fighter ship from V. If anybody's seen V, it's an 80s show that was quite good. So this has already been split. Now you can see that the full model would be bigger than this. This is just the front half of the ship. So you've got a flat surface there that you can essentially turn it on its end. X. And print it like that. So your flat surface is flat on your print bed, which if I enable DaveCam 1, media source. Nope, can't remember how to add this. Add video capture device. There we go. Add video capture device. device, existing, DaveCam 1. Wrong DaveCam 1. Remove. Add. Video capture. Existing DaveCam 1 without a space. There we go. So there's DaveCam 1 again. So what you want, indeed, Mark Singer, Mr. Heroic Pose, number 17. So yeah, so there you go. You've got your model on your print plate, and what would happen is that back end would sit right on there, so flat on there, like that, and therefore everything would print in a vertical direction. So everything will come up here. So all of your support, all of the previous layers would support the layer next coming down. So because everything is piled and is tapering in towards the end, that model is actually perfect to print off in that way, because there are no surfaces that overhang, there's nothing that sticks out. It's very easy to do, so that's ideal. So let's get rid of that again. Import the zero shape file. So let's look at rear flight. Now again, designed in such a way that it's piss easy to stick it together. It's not really shown as anything though, is it? Okay, so going back to the gun then. And yes, the guy who went on to be Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund. I'm not sure, but I think he was actually Freddy Krueger before he was on V. I'm not sure. I'd have to look up the release date of Nightmare on Elm Street, but anyway, so V was one of my favourite programs when I was growing up. I loved it, and I always wanted one of the guns from it. So now I've actually found one on Thingiverse. I'm going to print this at some point, but I need to know how it goes together. So I need to understand it. And what I'd usually tend to do in these situations is I'd copy this design. So rather than using this design as downloaded, I would actually download it and then trace around it with my own modelling ability, so that I've got a simpler model that I can use. Because quite a lot of the stuff, when they put the fine detail in and then obviously tessellate it in some ways, I mean, this is not particularly well tessellated. And the tessellation is when you turn surfaces into triangles. And what we've got along the side of a lot of that is you've got a lot of points all going, you've got a lot of lines all going to a single point. So if you look at this bit here, for example, all of those points are going to, all of those lines, sorry, are going from all across there to this single point here, which is bad design. There's a lot of pressure on that one little point to hold that many vertices, hold that many intersections, sorry, which can cause some problems with the actual rendering and the printing, because it can cause surface issues and normal issues, which can cause a bit of wobble, and sometimes the memory can get a bit screwed up on the PC that you're using, or even on the printer sometimes, if it's trying to manage all that information. So your G code could end up being quite cluttered and cause some potential problems. How are we doing on the download? We're about halfway to the playable stage in Apex Legends. So we have the V logo, or the visitor's logo at the back there, embossed onto the thing, which I don't think was a real thing. It's all one unit, which is interesting. It's all been literally merged together, so that is impressive work, given the fact that we have round areas here, and that's all been curved in. So I'm quite impressed with how that's gone together. So that the guys designing this has gone into a lot of detail and a lot of work in using a single extruded piece. Now, how would we separate this into a separate model? Well, using Wings 3D, which, see, I'll be honest, I've tried to use things like Fusion, and I just cannot get into the method of doing it in Fusion. I like subdivision modelling, which means you can grab a primitive shape and sculpt it. That is the way I learned how to 3D model, and that's the way I'm best at it. Blender and Fusion are different beasts, and they have lots of little tools, lots of complex options, and I just cannot get my head around any of them, to be honest. And it's annoying because all those things in there. It's annoying because I want to get into these new ones. Ah, the pilot for V. You mean the mini-series? So he was doing V at the same time. Probably the same time he was filming Nightmare on Elm Street. Then, interesting. Because there was 3 incarnations of V. There was the mini. There was the original 2-parter. Then there was the mini-series, which was I think a 3-part conclusion to the story. And then there was the series, which was a bag of wank that tailed on from. They just basically bodged it together and hoped they could make it work, and they couldn't because it was shit. And starred Craig McLachlan, who went on to do quite a lot of other stuff, including Twin Peaks, if I remember correctly. Okay. So, trying to show you this without actually faffing about the model too much is going to be an interesting exercise. So what I want to do is move it somewhere where I want to make a cut. So I want to make a cut along the bottom of the handle. No, I want to separate that bottom panel from that block. So I want to put that as close to the middle of the modelling area as I can. So what I want to do is I want to cut along that approximate line there. So that looks like part of the line that joins it together, but it's not, because that is. Now the trick is, to do this, is you have to create a loop cut. So you have to do, and that actually goes underneath there, which is interesting, which means that's actually a separate model, or a separate area of the model. If I just pull that line down, yeah, so it joins inside, so that's going to make it slightly awkward. So what we have is a situation where the model joins together at an area that you can't physically see. So what I'll do is I will grab some of those surfaces and I will hide them. So there's our join there. This is where the actual model joins together. So if I grab those lines that form that square, that should be 4 edges, and then do a loop cut. No, it doesn't. So that could be a problem. So I'll try and bring those surfaces back now. Oops, do that. Hide. Yeah. Hide and hide. Right, so let's put all the surfaces back that we lost. Okay, so what I generally tend to do in these situations is I will grab as much as I can of the model area. So everything I don't want to move, I don't select. And what I want to do with these is move those edges. In fact, I'm going to do it in vertices. So I'm going to move those down. Let's say 5. Okay. So that releases the area that we were looking at. Move Y. I'm going to do that as well. Take that down 5, so that releases the entire area. So that is our joining body. And what I want to try and do is select that ring around there and then loop cut, which separates that completely. So now we have two halves of the model. Okay. Now what we need to do is go back to original selections. Boop. Deselect those vertices at the top of that box and then move it back up 5, so that is back where it was. But now, because it's a separate item, we can move it out of the way separately. So I'll move it 100 and let's move it 100 200. So let's move it 200 millimeters, I think the measurements are here. There's those lines again. So I'll get rid of them. Get rid of that. Okay, so that gives us another aspect to that model. How we've done the installation. Elite Dangerous is now finished installing on the laptop, and we are currently downloading at 4 meg. So we're now looking at half an hour, but hopefully not that long until we're playable. So we should be able to get at least 15-20 minutes in towards the end of the stream. Okay, so it's all about creating simple items, simple things that you can join together. Now we know where this can join. So how would you connect these pieces together if you wanted to? Now one of the main things about 3D printing is that there's a tolerance level. So let's say, for example, we know that that shape there, that square at the bottom, is the same size as the bit we separated there. And what we want to do is join those together in some way. So what we can do is we can extrude that up into a thing. If I just show you what I mean. If I extrude that up, we can turn that into a connecting pin that this bit can then slot into the top of, because we can do the opposite there and extrude that upwards. So that is now a female joint that will connect to that male joint. That's the idea. However, because you have issues with tolerances, I'm actually going to move that back into the shot again. So let's just move it back a little bit. So we'll put 30 out the way. And I'm going to rotate that along around Z. Is that right? Yeah, that'll do. So let's rotate that around 180 so we can see exactly what it is we're doing. There's both of our surfaces. So what we want to do is make that into a female slot and that into a male slot. So what I'll do, we don't have any play in how far back that can actually go from there. So it's right up to the edge of the model. So what we'll do is we'll extrude that up. Let's see, now this assume this is in millimeters, so let's extrude it a centimetre. Okay, so that's 10 millimeters straight up. So that is now a socket. Now what we want to do is make this something that will accept that thing. Now to do that we can extrude that also down, but we need to take into account the tolerances. Now most 3D printers you would find have a 0.2 millimeter tolerance, because that is the width of the extrusion. Most print heads, extruder heads, are 0.4 millimeters. Let's stick DaveCam back on so I can show you. DaveCam. Let's see if I can get a good angle on this for you. So there's DaveCam. Let's have a look, see if we can get under there. I'm at the limit of my cable, unfortunately. So let's try and get under there. So there you can just about see it. Let's try and cast a little bit of light using Darth Vader. So not a lot of light, but you can see there that metal bit there, that's your extruder. Now the nozzle end on there is 0.4 millimeters. So you've got 0.4 millimeter extrusion, which will give you a 0.4 millimeter approximately width on your stream of plastic that's coming out. So you've got roughly half a millimeter to play with. So what I tend to do when I'm doing 3D prints and I'm trying to make joints like this is give 0.2 millimeter on each side. So what I need to do is make this socket larger by 0.4 millimeters on each side. So there's two ways of doing that. I can either just absolute command and scale, and then what I want to do in the x-axis, which you can see the little red X there, that's your x-axis across there, and your z-axis is front to back. So what I need to do is make them 0.4 bigger. So if I make that 1.3 to 1.7, that's exactly the wrong one, because that's the wrong field, you idiot. So we'll do 5.4. Now let's give it a little bit of extra just on the safe side. 5.5, and we'll do 0.5 here as well. So that'll be 20.1. Now that makes it bigger. So what we need to do then is extrude that in a vertical direction again, but again to leave half a millimeter difference. I'm going to make it 0.6. So we extrude Y down, and then our number in the top corner there you've got is 10 point, let's say 6. So there you go. You now have a new extrusion. So if I show you how far down that goes, that red highlighted bit there is how far down. So if I then turn, I've made it transparent by the way in case you're wondering why it's gone a bit wireframe. If I then spin that back round the way it was, rotate Z 180, that's now back where it was. You can see in, let's hide that for a second, you can see there that you have the, from there to there to there to there is your socket. If I then move that back over the top, let's not do it that way, let's move that bit. You can see that we have, that fits lovely in there. So your red bit there is your entire model, that's the other part of the model, and this bit you can just see the lines there, all fits inside. So that fits nicely inside that box. So that should be a good approximate size. So that is now two separate bits that we can join back together in a very simple way. There will be a clear bit that goes in between there and there that will help strengthen that. So not only, you won't have the whole thing supported by that, you'll have your clear perspex rod will go from there to there and help support that on there as well, so it'll be quite good. So that's the sort of thing you have to do. You're looking at trying to build things in as modular a way as you can manage, but in a way that will make it easier to join together, easy to join together rather than complicated. So easy to print, easy to join together, and sturdy. Okay. I've just had a message pop up saying that Apex Legends is now ready to play. So if anybody wants to have a go on that, then we'll go into that. I mean, that's just a brief idea. I could go into a lot more depth, but as a brief overview, that's an idea where we would go with putting that model on a 3D printer to print off. I'm quite tempted to just print it off as it is there, to be honest with you, with supports, and see what happens. Because one thing I've realised since getting the new 3D printer is that supports aren't as bad as what I thought they were. Supports actually work quite well in the new printer. So, right. Anyway, so that's that. That's current, so I'm not going to save that. I am going to go back into the stream intro screen, but that's still on. And let's have a look at Apex Legends. So please give me 1 second again. I'm going to shut the stream down again and reboot with a different sector. So let me go back on to there. Apex Legends update. Close, close. Close that window. Right, stop. I'm going to ping off again, so I shall see you shortly.